Hey everyone, capacitors finally arrived. Let's get some batteries in here and make sure it's still somewhat working. Right, I think that's the Japanese Game Gear. Let's get the proper Game Gear. Got the correct Game Gear now. Let's pop a game in it. May have to clean the contacts on this. Let's hit both the cartridge and the Game Gear slot with some contact cleaner. And let's try this again. Let's try another game. Let's try some fresh batteries. And yeah, was the batteries. Got nothing on the screen and no sound. Actually, we do kind of have something on the screen now. And it's gone. And now it's flashing again. Maybe it wasn't the batteries last time. Right, so it's coming on for a bit and turning off. I think that's capacitors. At the very least, it's going to need capacitors changed either way. So let's get this open and we'll start changing those out. Now we'll unscrew this board from in here now. That's that removed now. A lot of these capacitors do look very crusty. Probably should give them a bit of a clean before I try and take them off. I'm hoping they come off without ripping the pads off as well. We'll use some 99% isopropyl to give us a good clean. Okay, we're going to try and take out this capacitor right here. Just using these pliers to break the capacitor free from the board. There's some glue between there, as well as leaky capacitor fluid. And yeah, it's true. These things do smell like old fish. That's one. This one's a 33 microfarad capacitor with the negative facing this way. We'll use some solder wick to try and clean up the pads. So this capacitor has to go there. So we're going to cut the legs a little bit short and try and tack it in. Something like that should do. Try and get a little bit of solder on the pads here. Alright, first attempt, not the best. Didn't want to cut the legs too short. So we'll leave that lifted up to get rid of this one now. And we'll just lay it flat afterwards. So this one's a 10 microfarad capacitor. I think I'm going to have to wear these goggles to get the last capacitors on. So back in a bit as soon as that's done. Got the first casualty right here. This pad had too much corrosion from the capacitor leakage and just came off. Gonna have to do some trace repair on this. Might have a slight issue with this capacitor right here. It looks like this connector does not actually come off. This capacitor is going to be a doozy to unsolder though. Gonna have to get the tip right in there without melting anything else. So let's see how this goes. Got that removed. So all the capacitors are done. Just got to figure out this trace repair right now. Right. So I did manage to connect it to that via right there. This leg right here. Then that trace broke loose and pulled that along with it. So we have the negative leg now connected to that via, and the positive leg connected to this, which is also linked to that there. So this should be okay. And now we can put this board back in here after we take the Q-tip out. These are the old capacitors here, by the way, and they do reek of old rotting fish. So this half's done. Still got to change the capacitors and the power and audio boards here, but just gonna plug these back in together and make sure there's no magic smoke happening. And I accidentally pinched that wire down in there. Batteries are in. Gonna turn it on now with no game inside. And no smoke or anything, that's good. Let's try it with a game. And yeah, it's better than it was before. Still no volume, but still gotta fix up the soundboard. So now we've got the power board and the audio board left. Thankfully, the power board here has through-hole capacitors, so hopefully these will be a little bit easier to replace. So let's start with this one first. So I've got the 4 capacitors here replaced. Just got this one off, and this one is really corroded. Had to make some really bad solder joints in these. It just would not stick to the remaining metal there, but they're connected. Audio board's finally finished, and not proud of this, but yeah, this was a trial and a half to just get these capacitors off. Hopefully this one will be the easiest one to replace the capacitors on. These are through hole, but hey, never know what kind of curveball this thing's gonna throw at me next. This big capacitor's giving a little bit of trouble. Gonna solder this piece of copper wire here to the legs, then heat up the copper wire and try and pull the capacitor out, see if that works. Copper wire is soldered on now. Let's heat it up now, see if we can get the capacitor to fall off. Got the last capacitor off, but all the pads came with it. Gonna have to figure out where these pads are going and just jumper it across. Thankfully, for the positive, I've managed to scrape back a little bit there. I can hook that onto right there, and I'm just gonna have to catch a ground from somewhere in the back of the board. So, don't think I could have fixed this thing more janky if I tried, but it's connected. Got it fitted together just enough to test it out here. So I think you can kind of see Echo the dolphin running around in there. So looks like we've managed to fix everything except for the one part that really can't be fixed, the screen. So what did I learn from this? Well, first of all, original Xboxes aren't as bad as I thought they were now compared to working in this thing. But mind you, I think most of the problems I had with the desoldering was due to the fact that all of these capacitors had basically leaked and corroded the board. But yeah, I'm in no rush to go work in the other Game Gear after dealing with this. In any case, we'll still have to come back to this one to see about a replacement screen. But for now, thanks for watching.